In the spring of 2012, a scandal would take the company by storm as it was revealed that Noah had been linked to the Yakuza crime organization in Japan. Several high-ranking executives within the promotion had ties to the Yakuza from 2003 to 2010, and it is reported that the gang helped the promotion with ticket sales and live events. Directly linked with this would be none other than Ryu Nakata, the general manager of Noah and the man who had caused a major power struggle with executives following Misawa's death. The scandal would see Nakata outed from the company and would cause Noah to lose another TV deal. And up next we have Yukihiro Kanamura SA. Yukihiro Kanamura, aka Wing Kanamura, was a big star in the Japanese deathmatch scene in promotions like FMW and Big Japan Pro Wrestling. He even briefly wrestled for ECW in the United States. Back in 2008, Kanamura would be involved in a huge scandal that would alter his career forever. Kanamura would repeatedly SA and fondle a female employee that worked on Big Japan's newsletter. It would continue to go on until a Big Japan ring announcer became a whistleblower and reported the harassment on his personal blog. The Japanese media got wind of the incident and a firestorm of coverage came from it. Yukihiro Kanamura issued an apology at a press conference and was soon blackballed from competing in Big Japan and several other promotions for years after. The whistleblowing ring announcer was fired as well despite getting praise from the female who was repeatedly harassed at the hands of Kanamura. And next up we have Jeff Hardy in New Japan Pro Wrestling. Jeff Hardy made his name in WWE and he became a worldwide known figure while wrestling for that company. Back in 2011 though, he was not in WWE and he was far from the top of his game. 2011 was the same year of his infamous TNA Victory Road appearance, where he entered the TNA ring inebriated. In his lone appearance for New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hardy defended his TNA World Heavyweight Championship against rising star Tetsuya Naito at Wrestle Kingdom 5. But this match was a stinker, mainly because Hardy was inebriated during this performance. There's been speculation that this match had something to do with New Japan Pro Wrestling ending their working relationship with TNA. Considering Hardy is very talented and Naito was already having some great matches at the time, it's a shame that this match was as messy as it was. And now we're moving down the iceberg into the second tier. Our first entry on the second tier is Sabu and the Yakuza. In the early 1990s, Sabu was wrestling in Japan for Atsushi Onita's FMW promotion. Before the show, Onita warned the wrestlers that a large group of the Yakuza would be at ringside. He told them under no circumstances were the wrestlers to brawl around this certain section of the ring. Either Sabu forgot or just didn't care because he started brawling ringside against his opponent and even did one of his trademark dives into the stands. Members of the Yakuza were infuriated and began attacking Sabu legitimately. Sabu ran backstage with the Yakuza chasing after him. While backstage, Mike Awesome heard a commotion and looked to see what was happening. He saw about a dozen men attacking Sabu, with one of them picking up a chair to strike Sabu with it. Awesome quickly jumped in and grabbed the chair away from the Yakuza member, picked up Sabu and locked themselves in a room. The two wrestlers remained in the locked room for over 2 hours while the Yakuza were trying to get at them. FMW owner Atsushi Onita had some clout with the mob and tried talking to them to calm the situation down. Finally, after speaking with one of the bosses, Onita got the Yakuza to leave, but not before getting a stern warning. And up next we have Hikaru Shida Gravure. Hikaru Shida is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world today, and she has made her name internationally known through her time in AEW, where she has become a 3-time women's world champion. When she was still in Japan though, she released Gravure movies in order to boost her popularity. For those who don't know, Gravures are basically very racy modeling videos usually done by Japanese women's wrestlers. Hikaru Shida released 2 Gravures, the first one being called Wet Butt, and the second one being called The God of Ass is Right. And next up we have Rikidozan vs Kimura. Masahiko Kimura was a world-famous judoka who not only blazed a trail for the creation of MMA in Japan, but his love for pro wrestling was evident. In the 1950s, he created the Japanese Pro Wrestling Association and extended a personal invitation to one of the preeminent wrestling legends, Rikidozan. In the first 15 minutes of the match, Kimura aims a kick at Rikidozan's midsection and accidentally catches him in the groin. Normally this would be grounds for disqualification, but the match is not meant to end that way, so the referee waves off the infraction. But it's too late because Rikidozan has seen red. Because of this low blow, Rikidozan unleashes his brutality, striking Kimura again and again. Kimura slumps against the ropes, and Rikidozan kicks him twice in the face with all of his force. He pulls Kimura into the center of the ring and then stomps his head viciously. Rikidozan then moves in for the kill as the crowd roars its approval. Another strike is followed by a clubbing blow to the back of Kimura's head, and a final strike hits Kimura in the neck, square in an artery, and he drops like a felled oak. He tries to get up to his feet but is unable. The referee counts to 10, the bell sounds, and the bout that was scheduled to go 60 minutes only lasted less than 15. And next up we have the Hellfire match. The Hellfire match took place in FMW, with Sabu and the Sheik versus Atsushi Onita and Tarzan Goto. They decided that the regular hardcore matches could deal with the shade of being more extreme, so they wrapped the barbed wire around the ring in petrol-soaked rags and set them ablaze. This was nothing like the WWE Inferno matches, as it was an actual inferno. The heat was unbearable, and the match had to be stopped not soon after it started. The wrestlers received hideous burns, and the original Sheik's injuries put him into a medical coma because his burns were so extensive. And next up we have the Akino incident. Akino is a female Japanese wrestler, or joshi, who wrestled for several independent promotions. In 2005, Akino was in Tokyo's Roppongi Night Spot district with friends. That is where she had a run-in with two members of Japan's national rugby team. One in particular was a young 19-year-old standout wing from the island of Tonga, who was a man named Christian Lamano. Lamano and a Japanese-born teammate got into a verbal altercation with Akino and her friends. Lamano and his teammate, who were both men, attacked Akino and his friends, who were women, and this resulted in Akino getting knocked unconscious in a brawl outside of a nightclub. The fight made headlines in both Tonga and Japan. Lamano would be banned from the Japanese rugby team for a full year. And next up we have the Kota Ibushi scandal. Kota Ibushi made headlines in Japan several years ago. It was alleged that Ibushi was caught talking to and embracing a hooker. The Japanese media got wind of the story and it briefly became a scandal. In Japanese culture, a celebrity like a movie star, a musician, or athlete are held to high standards. If the fans of media discover one of their celebrities behaving in some sort of a scandalous way, they would often be shot. When Kota Ibushi was asked about it, he didn't give the press a lot of information. He just shrugged it off and he said he had fun, thus adding fuel to the flames. In all actuality, it turned out that the woman was not a hooker at all, but a famous drag queen of some sort, and the scandal soon disappeared. Next up we have Ayako Hamada and Need for Speed. Ayako Hamada is a wrestler who won several titles both in Japan and Mexico. She also competed for TNA Wrestling, winning the Knockouts Tag Team titles on 2 occasions with Awesome Kong and Taylor Wilde respectively. While in Japan, Hamada no-showed an event. A representative for the wrestling promotion attempted to reach her, and Hamada responded by saying she was being held and blindfolded by 4 men. Concerned for her safety, police were called to check on her. When they arrived at Hamada's apartment, they discovered her rambling incoherently, acting very strange. The police administered a drug test and she tested positive for the drug. Hamada would admit to taking the drugs by inhaling them through her nose. She was then arrested under several drug charges. She was also stripped of the woman's title that she was scheduled to defend in the South Litigation motion, and she was subsequently fired from the promotion. And up next, he had ringside. He told them under no circumstances were the wrestlers to brawl around a certain section of the ring. Either Sabu forgot or just didn't care because he started brawling ringside against his opponent and even did one of these trademark dives into the stands. Members of the Yakuza were infuriated and began attacking Sabu legitimately. Sabu ran backstage with the Yakuza chasing after him. While backstage, Mike Awesome heard a commotion and looked to see what was happening. He saw about a dozen men attacking Sabu, with one of them picking up a chair to strike Sabu with it. Awesome quickly jumped in and grabbed the chair away from the Yakuza member, picked up Sabu, and locked themselves in the room. The two wrestlers remained in the locked room for over 2 hours while the Yakuza were trying to get at them. FMW owner Atsushi Onita had some clout with the mob and tried talking to them to calm the situation down. Finally, after speaking with one of the bosses, Onita got the Yakuza to leave, but not before getting a stern warning. And up next we have Hikaru Shida's review. Hikaru Shida is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world today, and she has made her name internationally known through her time in AEW, where she has become a 2-time Women's World Champion. When she was still in Japan though, she released Gravia movies in order to boost her popularity. For those who don't know, Gravias are basically very racy modeling that is usually done by Japanese women's wrestlers. Hikaru Shida released 2 Gravias, the first one being called Wet Butt, and the second one being called God of Ass. And next up we have Rikidozan versus Kimura. Masahiko Kimura was a world-famous judoka who not only blazed a trail for the creation of MMA in Japan, but his love for pro wrestling was evident. In the 1950s, he created the Japanese Pro Wrestling Association and extended a personal invitation to one of the preeminent wrestling legends, Rikidozan. In the first 15 minutes of the match, Kimura aims a kick at Rikidozan's midsection and accidentally catches him in the groin. Normally this would be grounds for disqualification, but the match is not meant to end that way, so the referee waves off the infraction. But it's too late because Rikidozan has seen red. Because of this low blow, Rikidozan unleashes his brutality, striking Kimura again and again. Kimura slumps against the ropes, and Rikidozan kicks him twice in the face with all of his force. He pulls Kimura into the center of the rings and then stomps his head viciously. Rikidozan then moves in for the kill as the crowd roars its approval. Another strike is followed by a clubbing blow to the back of Kimura's head, and a final strike hits Kimura in the neck, square in an artery, and he drops like a felled oak. He tries to get up to his feet but is unable. The referee counts to 10. The bell sounds, and the bout that was scheduled to go 60 minutes only lasted less than 15. And next up we have the Hellfire match. The Hellfire match took place in FNW, with Sabu and the Sheik versus Atsushi Onita and Tarzan Goto. They decided that the regular hardcore matches could deal with the shade of being more extreme, so they wrapped the barbed wire around the ring in patrol-soaked rags and set them ablaze. This was nothing like the WWE Inferno match, as it was an actual inferno. The heat was unbearable, and the match had to be stopped not soon after it started. The wrestlers received hideous burns, and the original Sheik's injuries put him into a medical coma because his burns were so extensive. And next up we have the Akino incident. Akino is a female Japanese wrestler or Joshi who wrestled for several independent promotions. In 2005, Akino was in Tokyo for Ponky Night School District with friends. That is where she had a run-in with 2 members of Japan's national rugby team. One in particular was a young 19-year-old standout wing from the island of Tonga who was a man named Christian Lamano. Lamano and a Japanese-blood teammate got into a verbal altercation with Akino and her friends. Lamano and his teammate, who were both men, attacked Akino and her friends, who were women, and this resulted in Akino getting knocked unconscious in a brawl outside of the nightclub. The fight made headlines in both Tonga and Japan. Lamano would be banned from the Japanese rugby team for a full year. Next up, we have the Kota Ibushi scandal. Kota Ibushi made headlines in Japan several years ago. It was alleged that Ibushi was caught talking into a relation with a hooker. The Japanese media got wind of the story and it briefly became a scandal. In Japanese culture, a celebrity like a movie star, a musician, or athlete are held to higher standards. If the fans or media discover one of their celebrities are behaving in some sort of a scandalous way, they would often be shocked. When Kota Ibushi was asked about it, he didn't give the press a lot of information. He just shrugged it off for the sake of having fun, thus how he feels to the fans. In all actuality, it turned out that the woman was not a hooker at all, but a famous drag queen of some sort, and the scandal soon disappeared. Next up we have Ayako Hamada, Need for Speed. Ayako Hamada is a wrestler who won several titles both in Japan and Mexico. She also competed for TNA Wrestling, winning the Knockouts Tag Team titles on 2 occasions with Wilson Kong and Taylor Wilde, respectively. While in Japan, Hamada no-showed an event. The representative from the wrestling community attempted to reach her, and Hamada responded by saying it was being held on 9 4 men. Concerned for her safety, police were called to check on her. When they arrived at Hamada's apartment, they discovered her rambling incoherently and acting very strange. The police administered a drug test and she tested positive for the drug, speed. Hamada would admit to taking the drugs by inhaling them through her nose. She was then arrested on several drug charges. She was also stripped of a woman's title that she was scheduled to defend in Osaka on the day she no-showed, and she was subsequently fired from the promotion. And up next we have Kagetsu Miestada. In 2017, Kagetsu had an incident with another wrestler called Tsukushi from the promotion Ice Ribbon, who was 19 years old at the time but was a 7-year veteran, starting to wrestle at age 12. Kagetsu, at that time a Stardom wrestler, went to an Ice Ribbon show in which Tsukushi was supposed to wrestle. Backstage, Tsukushi and Kagetsu got into an altercation and Tsukushi tried to stab Kagetsu but failed to do so. Kagetsu, however, did walk away with some injuries, but Tsukushi was subsequently arrested and pulled from the Ice Ribbon show. The following day, Ice Ribbon held a press conference to announce the arrest and apologize for what happened. At a later date, Tsukushi apologized for the incident, and just a few months later, she was allowed back into Ice Ribbon. And up next we have the death of Giant Ochiai. Giant Ochiai was a former MMA fighter turned professional wrestler. He stood 6 foot 1 inches tall and weighed close to 300 pounds. His MMA record was 3 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws. Giant Ochiai signed with Riki Choshu's World Japan promotion, where he began training in their dojo under the tutelage of Kenzo Suzuki. During an intense training session with Suzuki in the dojo, Ochiai collapsed and fell unconscious in July of 2003. He was rushed to the hospital where he slipped into a coma. He remained comatose for over a month until he passed away on August 8, 2003. An autopsy revealed that he died from an acute subdural hematoma, also known as bleeding of the brain. After his death, Kenzo Suzuki was fired by Riki Choshu and allegedly blackballed from every promotion in Japan. The Japanese media's scrutiny over the tragic incident grew once owner Riki Choshu refused to take responsibility for Ochiai's death in his dojo. The family of Ochiai accused Choshu of negligence. World Japan eventually folded later that year. And now we're moving down to the bottom tier of the iceberg, Tier 1, with our first entry on the first tier being the Hiroshi Tanahashi stabbing. In November of 2002, up-and-coming star of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hiroshi Tanahashi faced a real-life crisis. Tanahashi was at the apartment of his girlfriend, Hitomi Hara, who was a news reporter and production assistant at TV Asahi, the TV home to New Japan Pro Wrestling. The couple got into a heated argument where it was reported that Tanahashi broke up with Hara. Feeling jilted, Hitomi Hara threatened to kill Tanahashi and then herself. As Tanahashi turned his back to leave, Hara took a kitchen knife and stabbed Tanahashi in the back twice. Tanahashi was able to fight off his girlfriend and escape. He was rushed to the hospital where he stayed for 10 days. Tanahashi suffered a collapsed lung as a result of the stabbing, which prevented him from taking part in 2003's January 4 Tokyo Dome show, which would later be rebranded as Wrestle Kingdom in 2007. Hara was sentenced to 3 years in prison, but ended up serving 4 years probation. The judge in Hara's case opted for probation because he said that she committed the crime only after becoming emotional. And up next we have Asuka's career. While fans are used to witnessing Asuka as a fierce competitor inside the ring, they may not be aware of her days as a Gravure model. In order to boost her popularity and get more eyes on her, she released 4 Gravure tapes. The first being titled Manifesto in 2011, the second being titled Manifesto 2 being released in 2012, the third being titled Sadistic Tales, and it was a joint Gravure movie featuring Io Scott's sister, Mio Shirai, and this released in 2012. There's a bunch of girl-on-girl action in this one. Her fourth and final Gravure film was called Manifesto 3 and it released in 2015. And next up we have WWF and FMW. In 1997, Vince McMahon was reportedly interested to try and expand his empire into Japan. Mick Foley supposedly convinced Vince to meet with Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling owner and wrestler, Atsushi Onita. FMW was an organization in Japan that was famous for its exploding barbed wire death matches. And not only were they popular in Japan, but hardcore wrestling fans all over the world would trade bootleg videotapes of these matches. Onita had dreamed of taking a popular match in the United States. Foley brokered a meeting that would take place between McMahon and Onita at WWF's headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut. Onita was flown from Japan to Connecticut on Vince's dime. A ton of Japanese press was on hand to cover the historic meeting between the two red-hot promoters. Of course, after their meeting, cameras were on hand to show the two shaking hands and all smiles. It appeared that the WWF and FMW were going to go into business together. The rumors began to swirl that there would be an exploding barbed wire death match at WWF's largest show of the year, WrestleMania, but apparently Vince McMahon got cold feet and decided to scrap the match altogether. Meanwhile in Japan, Onita held a press conference touting a great meeting with McMahon, and he said that the two parties agreed to hold a super show in Tokyo that would not only involve talent from WWF and FMW, but possibly also Michinoku Pro and ECW as well. That super show also never ended up happening, although the WWF did lend some talent in Vader and Ken Shamrock to appear in a WWF sanctioned match at an FMW show in September of 1997. When none of the promises Onita made to the Japanese media came true, he began to receive a ton of negative publicity. To save some face, Onita held a press conference and he announced that he was severing all ties to the WWF, and he basically tried to make Vince McMahon the enemy of the entire product. Next up, we have the death of Shoichi Arai. Arai was a promoter and he ran FMW for 7 years up until its closure in 2002. But because FMW was struggling before it closed, he was borrowing money from the Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia, to keep FMW running. And after FMW's closure, he owed the Yakuza approximately $1 million. He couldn't pay this back, and because of that, he went into hiding and devised a plan to take his own life so that his life insurance would pay off his debt to the Yakuza. And so he ended his life in a public park, and the insurance money went to his wife and child, and paid it off to the Yakuza. But the money wasn't enough to cover the full debt, so Arai's wife and child paid the remaining amount for many years after the incident. And next up we have Ryuma Go and the Yakuza. Ryuma Go was a Japanese professional wrestler who competed for both All Japan and New Japan Pro Wrestling. He competed in the AWA and was a former WWF Junior Heavyweight Champion. After his retirement, Ryuma Go was arrested after stealing a 69-year-old woman's purse at a train station in Tokyo. The woman screamed for help and Go freaked out and dropped the purse and took off. He was later caught and arrested. The reason why he tried to do this was because he was in heavy debt to the Yakuza, and he was doing whatever it took necessary to pay them off. So because he owed so much money to the Yakuza, they forced him to appear in a hardcore gay porn movie, and fans were shocked to see this movie come out. The Yakuza is ruthless. Next up we have Cowboy Bob Orton from the Yakuza. Cowboy Bob Orton and Randy Orton's father. While on a tour of Japan, wrestlers Bad News Alex, Chris Adams, and Bob Orton Jr. were out partying at the bar. As the night progressed, Chris Adams had become loud and belligerent. He soon got into a physical altercation with another patron. Adams used his skills in judo and tossed the non-wrestler a couple of times. Two men came over to break up the confrontation. Bob Orton thought the men were jumping in on the fight, so he allegedly kicked one of them in the crotch. As it turned out, the person he kicked was a prominent member of the local Yakuza. Bad News Allen was the one who recognized the individual and rushed his friends out the bar. While back at the hotel, Allen instructed Orton to leave the Japanese court immediately and return home, which he did. If Orton had decided to stay, Allen said that Bob Orton would have been dead. If Bob Orton had died, this could have affected Randy Orton's negatively growing up. And up next we have the death of Mirai. Mirai enrolled in the All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling Dojo when she was just 18 years old, debuting in 2001. After less than 6 months as an active wrestler within the promotion, she left in 2002 and became inactive for over a year. She briefly joined the Kaientai Dojo in the fall of 2002 as a trainee, but left before ever competing for the promotion. She would join a promotion called Ataz in 2003, and after almost 2 years with Ataz, Mirai was diagnosed with depression in 2005 and subsequently left Ataz as a result. During this time, she kept an online diary where she openly discussed suffering from depression and disclosed that she had previously attempted to end her life at some point in early 2005. She also expressed frustration at the fact that she continued to take medication but saw no improvement in her mental condition. Despite this, she returned to pro wrestling in mid-2005 and was active until 2 days before her death. Around 2 p.m. on September 14, 2005, she was found unconscious in the bathtub of her apartment. She was pronounced dead at the age of 22 shortly after. Despite a history of mental health issues and previous attempts at her own life, her death was ruled accidental. And up next we have the AJPW and DDT Baki Visual Planning scandal. AJPW and DDT are some of the biggest Japanese wrestling promotions today, but a few years back, it was reported by some Japanese news outlets that both DDT Pro Wrestling and All Japan Pro Wrestling have had some sort of financial backing from a company called Baki Visual Planning. Baki Visual Planning has been in the business of distributing pornographic movies. If that wasn't enough, Baki Visual Planning was accused of filming porn movies where the subjects were allegedly drugged and then raped by film stars. The movies were openly distributed. A case was brought up against the company where the CEO was found guilty and given 18 years in prison. Baki would change names and still operate as a company, and it's unknown if DDT and AJPW still receive funding from that company. And next up we have the Piranha Death Match. This match took place at the Big Japan Pro Wrestling Summer Night Dream in 1996 between Kendo Nagasaki and Mitsuhara Matsunaga. A Piranha Death Match is a professional wrestling match type where two opponents compete in a death match with a person-sized fish tank with Piranha located inside the ring. To win, one must place their opponent inside the tank with the Piranha for 10 seconds. In this match, Nagasaki defeated Matsunaga by submerging him partially in the tank and then placing a board on top to secure the win. Despite only being partially submerged for 10 seconds, Matsunaga had a small hole eaten in his chest by the Piranha. This is absolutely insane. And now moving on into the deepest and darkest part of the iceberg, with our last entry being Jun Kasai and the Yakuza. Jun Kasai is a famous Japanese deathmatch wrestler who has competed all over the world, but mainly for the promotion Big Japan Pro Wrestling. In 2005, Jun Kasai allegedly slept with the daughter of a Yakuza member, and the Yakuza threatened to cut off Kasai's penis in retaliation. It took Shinya Kojika, the promoter of Big Japan Pro Wrestling, to talk to the Yakuza out of cutting off Jun Kasai's penis. The great Kojika, a former wrestler himself, allegedly had strong ties to the Yakuza. He was able to convince them that Kasai had no prior knowledge that the woman was the daughter of a Yakuza member. The Yakuza was still pissed off by this though, and they proposed an ultimatum. It's either that they cut Kasai's penis off, or he gets heavily booked in extremely dangerous and insane spots that could severely injure him. Kasai chose the latter, and that caused him to take some very dangerous and insane bumps, the most famous of which was when he was powerbombed onto literal razors. This caused his back to have serious cuts. The video in question will not be shown here for obvious reasons, but it was gruesome and stomach-churning to say the least. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other videos. Also, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. But anyway, goodbye.
I know I look a bit different compared to my other videos, and that's because my glasses broke. I've been like this for almost 2 weeks now, and my glasses are coming in 2 weeks, so probably the next video I'll still look like this. It is what it is. I could still see fine. I'm like a far distance, but like I can't see far distance. But close distance, like right now, I could still record and the show must go on. So in today's video, we're talking about lost media found in 2023. I've made 2 parts, but you don't have to watch those 2 in order to understand this video. Keep in mind that I will not be talking about every single piece of lost media found in 2023. I only picked the most interesting ones that I'm really into. Check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for some extra content. But let's just get straight into this video. Super Wide Pilot. Super Wide is a computer animated TV show that aired from 2007 to 2016, set in Storybook Village. The storyline follows a child and his friends who jump into storybooks to collect super letters. When faced with problems, using them to find solutions. Originally conceived as Angela Santomero's master's thesis, predating Blue's Clues. The show underwent an evolution from stop-motion concept to a CGI series. Initially, a pilot episode was produced for Nick Jr. in 1999, directed by Blue's Clues creator Angela Santomero and Cup of Coffee Studios in Toronto, Canada. However, the pilot titled Super Wide was rejected and went through a prolonged development phase. It eventually premiered in 2007 on PBS Kids. The pilot was initially greenlit by Nick Jr., but later cancelled in favor of another show, Oswald. Despite being unreleased, footage of the pilot surfaced, and on February 19, 2021, an unused theme song for the pilot was discovered with a higher pitch. A second unused theme song was created by artist Daniel LeBlanc, who uploaded it to Con5 after realizing the showrunners were no longer interested in the pilot. Clips from the pilot were once available on Cup of Coffee Animation's old website, but were unfortunately not archived. In May 2021, a library listing with only the audio of the pilot was found and later uploaded to YouTube on August 2nd of that same year. On January 2nd, 2023, a slideshow titled Next Generation Kids, PBS Kids, revealed a rendered image of the pilot, displaying the main character's superhero design, and a placeholder for the series logo. Another version of the image hinted at an alternate title, Super Readers to the Rescue, considered around 2006. Finally, on June 12, 2023, YouTubers The Old Washington Resident and Melody located and released a copy of the full pilot after reaching out to the Annecy Film Festival, where the pilot had won an award. This discovery clarified that the audio found earlier was not used in the actual pilot, including and debunking of the theme song's inclusion. Bubble Guppies. Bubble Guppies, an animated Nick Jr. series created by Robert Skoll and Johnny Belt and produced by Wild Brain Entertainment, features 6 fish-tailed children exploring preschool subjects with their teacher, Mr. Rupert, premiering around 2011. The show continues to be successful with ongoing episode production. Despite its triumph, the initial pilot episode faced challenges, going missing for years before its resurfaced. Development of the series began in 2006 at Blue's Video and Mixed Digital. By January 2007, an episode titled Happy Clam Day was completed, featuring different voice actors and distinct animation compared to the final version. Initially intended for late 2000s release, only 10 episodes were produced for Viacom's mass layoffs, affecting Guru Studio and Nick employees. After the setback, Wild Brain picked up the series, making adjustments for its eventual debut on January 24, 2011. The availability of the original pilot plot remains unclear, leaving assumptions that it involved the Guppies being separated based on information. Limited material from the pilot, such as a video titled Nick Kid Uber Top Mix Ruthless Desktop.mpv.m.m4v, surfaced on YouTube but was later privated and deleted in 2019. An essay reel on Vimeo contains some footage with audio of Molly talking. Until June 2023, only a small clip, a few 2D images, a screenshot, and concept art from the pilots have been found. Then on June 20th, 2023, an anonymous user named Doria shared a Catbox link containing the full unaired pilot. The origin of the link remains unknown. And alongside the pilot, a pitch document from the original creators was also shared by the same user, Wienerville. Wienerville was a puppet show on Nickelodeon from 1993 to 1996. Created by Mark Wiener. Despite getting awards and attention, it ended after 2 seasons due to less popularity and copyright issues. Only 4 episodes have aired since 1997. The show was set in the made-up town of Wienerville and had characters like Dottie, Zip, Bonnie, Sokka, Louie, and Pop. Mark Wiener, who created the show, played most characters. The puppets had a unique style where the puppeteer put their head above a small puppet body. There was a game segment called Playland where people could win a golden hot dog and get slime. Wienerville showed classic cartoons like Mr. Magoo and Popeye. The show had running jokes and sketches, like using the number 1350 for everything in the Wienerville general store. Out of the 62 episodes, 24 are still missing and not yet been found, making it hard for fans to watch them. Luckily, in 2023, some episodes have been found, but this show is considered partially lost since a lot of episodes are sadly still lost media. Fishtails. Fishtails is a 1936 animated short film featuring Porky Pig, directed by Jack King and scored by Norman Spencer. In the plot, Porky Pig goes fishing, and 2 worms join him in his can. Porky's boat speeds up, leading to a collision with a group of men eating on a boat. As a result, the table splits in 2. Porky's boat continues to speed into the water, spitting and spitting out a fish as he starts fishing. Underwater, a fish tries to catch Porky using a donut as bait. The fish captures Porky, introducing his wife and 2 kids. The fish attempt to cook Porky, but he escapes, concluding the film. While the black and white version of the short is available online, the colorized 1968 version was initially missing. Evidence of its existence came from a website covering redrawn cartoon shorts and screenshots. Despite airing on Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network in the 1980s, there were no known film copies or VHS recordings. On December 7, 2017, MySpleen user TupaX found and uploaded the short on archive.org. On July 20th, 2023, YoshiKiller2S from the Lost Media Wiki discovered a higher quality Cartoon Network recording of the redrawn colorized version in a massive mega folder full of Looney Tunes shorts. A Very Aggressive Vegetable. A Very Aggressive Vegetable is a series of 30-second animated shorts created by Fudge Puppy. It originally aired on Nickelodeon UK in 1998 and later on Nicktoons TV in the US as reruns. The shorts featured aggressive vegetables seeking revenge on kids who insult them. 6 shorts were produced titled Cucumber, Potato, Celery, Baby Corn, Zucchini, and Broccoli. Initially available on Nick.com, a glitch in the video player caused playback issues, and the pages have since been deleted. For a while, 5 out of the 6 shorts were accessible online, with Zucchini being the only lost episode. Only a short clip from a Tunes from Planet Orange promo featured any footage of Zucchini. However, on August 3rd, 2023, YouTuber user The Retro Room Games uploaded the complete Zucchini short, making this whole series found media. Welcome to Pooh Corner. Welcome to Pooh Corner, a Disney Channel show premiered on April 18th, 1983, marking the same day the Disney Channel began airing. Notably, it was the first TV series featuring Winnie the Pooh. The show primarily starred costumed actors in live action, with the character Rube portrayed initially as a puppet and later by a smaller actor in costume. Although the series concluded in 1986, reruns continued until 1997. Walt Disney Home Video in the US released 6 volumes, each containing 4 episodes, and also a VHS of the educational special Too Smart for Strangers. In the UK, 6 episodes were released as part of a series showcasing early Disney Channel shows. 2 educational specials, Pooh's Great School Bus Adventures and Too Smart for Strangers, were included in the Disney Safety Hits Volume 2 DVD release. Given the limited availability of home recording devices during the show's original run, most of the 120 plus episodes were considered lost. The French dubbed version titled The Adventures of Winnie the Bear Club aired in France as early as January 1985. The French adaptation made notable changes, such as depicting Rabbit and later Piglet as drawings instead of stuffed animals. The show had 2 narrators/hosts during its French run, Vincent Perrot and Jean Rochefort, whereas the English version had only one, which was Lori Main. This live-action Winnie the Pooh series looks incredibly creepy, which makes it pretty awesome. The show is still partially lost, since a few episodes are still lost media. However, in 2023, the episode titled Eeyore Solves a Problem was found on August 6, 2023. I've never heard of this Winnie the Pooh series before prior to me researching for the video, but man, this creepy Winnie the Pooh puppet show looks pretty awesome, and what makes it cooler is that this was one of the original shows that aired when Disney Channel started. Blueprints, Blue Clues pilot. Blue's Clues is a popular American animated live-action children's TV show that aired on Nick Jr. from 1996 to 2006. The series follows hosts Steve Burns and later Joe as they, along with their dog Blue, search for clues and solve puzzles leading to the story's resolution. The show underwent extensive development, experimenting with ideas like Blue initially being a cat named Mr. Orange, later changed to Mr. Blue. This led to the unaired 1994 to 1995 test pilots titled Blueprints. Contrary to a common misconception, the pilot did feature Blue, not Mr. Orange, shot either in 1994 or 1995. The pilot was initially tested with preschoolers. Despite positive reactions, changes were needed, including altering Mr. Salt's accent and Steve's shirt color from red to his iconic green stripes. The pilot remained obscure until 2006, when Nickelodeon aired a 10-year anniversary special. Short clips were shown, creating a search for the full episode online. Without success, Nickelodeon hasn't fully released it, citing differences from the series. In October 2020, a previously unseen screenshot surfaced on Nick Jr.'s Twitter account, indicating Nickelodeon's possession of a copy. Co-creator Angela C. Santomero posted a picture in January 2021 from the pilot's taping, mentioning she has a copy, but its release is uncertain. For the show's 25th anniversary in September 2021, Nick Jr.'s Twitter account uploaded a video about the pilot, featuring never-before-seen clips. Some differences were noted, such as the first clue being orange, with 2 paw prints, and the absence of the thinking chair on the notebook's cover. On September 9th of 2023, an anonymous user has found the full pilot episode of Blue's Clues. Pokemon the Movie 2000. Pokemon the Movie 2000 Adventure was an online game developed by Cyberworld International Corporation as a tie-in to Pokemon the Movie 2000. It utilized Cyberworld's keyboard technology for 2.5D environment in a specialized browser. According to Neil Marshall, a programmer and technical director, the game was available for a month before being removed. One file existed as late as 2003, and the game's front page was accessible until 2009, with implications of its presence until 2011 or 2012. Gameplay involved setting a name, choosing a Pokemon team, and selecting difficulty. Players navigated a 2.5D environment with web pages for further interactions. The objective was to travel to the 3 islands guarded by legendary birds, Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno, retrieving an ancient sphere from each Pokemon. Players overcame barriers, interacted with Pokemon and Pokeballs, and answered trivia questions at shrines. Once all spheres were collected, a celebration at Articuno's island occurred, with players receiving a certificate. Nintendo approved the game initially, assuming simplicity. When they discovered it was a 3D Pokemon game, they ordered its removal 4 weeks after launch. The game remained technically online for a few more years. Warner Bros. Closed the game domain, leaving HTML files, sprites, and 7 levels. The game's assets likely exist on users' computers who downloaded them during play. Attempts to obtain a complete copy from the developer were unsuccessful. On May 16, 2023, an interview with Marshall and developer Andy Rumsky was released, shedding light on the game's development. A more complete version of the game was discovered on a CD, restored by users Rufus10 and Doom-K. Then they uploaded it to the Internet Archive on September 17, 2023. Did the pilot's episode Gibby was a proposed spin-off of the popular Nickelodeon sitcom iCarly, centered on the character Gibby. The pilot episode follows Gibby's misadventures after his pet weasel bites his teacher, leading him to detention. To avoid punishment, he strikes a deal to work in the school cafeteria. Gibby then befriends a group of bullying victims and embarks on an adventure at the Bixby Rec Center, where he faces off against burglars who take him hostage. After iCarly concluded in 2012, creator Dan Schneider, who is an extreme creep, and you should watch my last video to learn more about that creep. He conceived 2 spin-offs, Sam and Cat and Gibby. While both had pilot shorts, only Sam and Cat received approval for production, leaving the Gibby pilot unreleased. Over the years, limited images and script details surfaced online. In 2019, Dan Warp Shows shared a script description and pages. In 2020, a Twitter user claims to own the script and sold it to another user who shared it publicly. The script matched details previously shared by Dan Warp Shows. In 2022, Quentin Reviews posted screen grabs from the Gibby pilot, stating they were sent by a subscriber whose mom worked on the show. Additional information was shared in a video titled The Scandal of Sam and Cat. On October 6, 2023, YouTuber Media Garage uploaded the full pilot to YouTube, but it was later taken down due to copyright concerns. However, the pilot was archived by various individuals and shared across social media and file sharing platforms, marking its discovery, making the Gibby pilot episode found media. Yo Gabba Gabba Pilot. 2023 is for sure the year of lost pilot episodes. Yo Gabba Gabba was a live-action puppet musical series aired on Nick Jr. from 2007 to 2015. DJ Lance Rock and 5 costume characters, Muno, Plex, Fufa, Cody, and Brody, came to life in a vibrant landscape, engaging in segments and musical numbers. In 2006, the series had 2 pilots. Characters, except Brody, had slight design variations. Fufa had a bulkier costume, Plex had a blue antenna, Muno had sharper teeth, and Cody had glossier eyes. Julius the Monkey appeared in one pilot, Short Story, dancing with characters but was absent in the final show. A low-budget test demo from the early 2000s featured characters from the Aquabats and an unnamed gray robot. One pilot, Short Story or Show Number 1, was found on a promotional DVD and uploaded to Vimeo in December 2020. The other pilot, Show Number 2 or Play, surfaced on YouTube in October of 2023, shared by user Yo Gabba Guru, obtained from Chris Bobbin, who worked on La La Doodle segments and the show's first season. It's funny on how most the pilot episode looks completely different compared to the final product, just like what we saw with the Blue's Clues pilot, but for some reason with the Yo Gabba Gabba pilot, the pilot episode kinda looks like an ordinary episode of a Yo Gabba Gabba show, so nothing much changed really. Shrek 1995 test animation. Shrek, a computer-animated film released in 2001 and directed by Andrew Adamson and Vicky Jensen, originated from a production that dates back around 1995. Originally, Chris Farley was casted as Shrek, leading to the creation of an animation test by DreamWorks featuring an early version of the iconic character. In the pilot, Shrek makes a memorable entrance into a gated city at night while singing James Brown's I Got You, I Feel Good. He encounters a mugger tied to a rope, engages in playful antics, and ultimately sends the mugger soaring into the night sky. Limited information was available about this early animation test until April 2017 when a YouTuber uploaded a storyboard version. In September 2017, an updated version was shared featuring missing voice lines provided by the uploader. The existence of storyboards suggests that an actual animation may be stored in the DreamWorks archive or in the possession of a collector. A significant discovery occurred on July 30th, 2022 when a sped up HD clip of the tape was found on a demo reel from a former DreamWorks animator's pre-production stage of Shrek from 1996 to 1998. The clip, partially covered by another film and lacking audio, was later slowed down and zoomed in for better visibility. Further snippets of the test featuring Shrek and the Mugger without original audio were uploaded by YouTuber user The Secret Life of Aliens on August 14th, 2022. Additionally, on August 17, 2022, a video on the Hessel Studios website showcased early models for Shrek and the Mugger, though their use in the final test remains unknown. The culmination of these discoveries took place on November 23, 2023, when the full test, completed with audio, was uploaded to YouTube by the test's production designer, Barry Jackson, operating under the Zoom Art Studio on YouTube. Believe it or not, there's a lot of Shrek lost media, and the early 90s test footage is one of the holy grails for Shrek lost media. And luckily in 2023, this test footage has finally been found. However, we still have a lot of Shrek lost media that needs to be found, but the holy grail has been found. And that is the end of lost media found in 2023. Keep in mind that this is part 3, and I already talked about more lost media found in 2023 in my previous 2 other videos. Keep in mind that I did not talk about every single piece of lost media found in 2023, just because a lot of it is kind of boring and small and not really that iconic. I mainly like to cover the more iconic pieces of lost media that were found in this year, such as the Gibby pilot, and of course the infamous Shrek test animation